Hello all. Who's here? Who we got? Metro Boys, Shane, Ghostface, Yes Go Pies. Welcome, everyone. We are here after an eventful first day in the trade period. Day one, and we saw lots of things. We saw conversations moving regarding Joe Richards, John Noble, Dan Houston. Lepich spoke to the media. So I figured let's have a bit of a sit down and discuss and just gather the thoughts because a lot has happened. A lot has happened. Harry Perryman, free agency, the likes, right? So let me pop up my little agenda. Let's see. Let's begin with Joe Richards. So we find out quite early this morning. I think the trade window opened at 11 a.m. and we find out right then and there that Joe Richards wants to move to Port Adelaide. And what are your thoughts in the comment section? Were you guys certain that he was going to stay after we extended the offer? Or were you like me, where I thought, look, we don't know the true context of it all, right? But I put two and two together, okay? Collingwood initially don't offer a long enough contract for Joe Richards. Port Adelaide are keen very early on. That's number one. That's one of the reasons why I think he's going to go for Port. He's going to nominate Port and he's going to elect to leave rather than stay, right? And then the other one is, if you're Joe Richards, right, you look at it from, all right, what does my opportunities look like? You look at Collingwood, okay? Right now, Collingwood are going to play Lachie Schultz. They have to because of what was given up for Lachie Schultz. He has to play next year. Bobby Hill, Bo McCreary, and Jamie Elliott. Those are your four more smaller forwards who will occupy those positions. You can't have any more than four of those players in your team. You can't have Joe Richards in there. Joe Richards can't really play anywhere else right now other than that small high half forward, which we saw him play this year, right? So when you consider that, naturally, surely, if you're Joe Richards, you're going to go to Port Adelaide where there's Willie Rioli, there's Darcy Byrne-Jones, who isn't even really a traditional forward. He was a defender, an all-Australian defender before he moved to the forward line. So there are stocks there that are lacking, which is why Richards is probably going to go to Port Adelaide, or he is going to Port Adelaide. He's from Wangaratta. He's a Wangaratta boy. So does he like the hustle and bustle of the Melbourne bubble? Probably not. Adelaide's a footballing state, but to a much lesser extent than what Melbourne is, right? So those are probably the things that I think about when I question and wonder why Joe Richards is leaving. What can we get for him? Well, segueing into the next conversation, and it's all tied in, right? Joe Richards, Dan Houston, and Noble, they're all sort of joined at the hip now in one way or another, okay? So let's start with Lepich saying that with Noble, we are going to, it looks like we're going to give up a future first, right? And that future first next year, I guess we would be willing to do that because we will use, I guess, a stockpile of picks in the second and third round to get someone like Thomas McGuan. If you have that first round pick, because of the value it holds relative to having multiple picks in the latter rounds, you're better off trading, giving away that future first for picks elsewhere or players. So what we're doing with our future first, it seems like we're going to let Gold Coast, I guess, swap our first pick for a future first from next year with Gold Coast future first or current first round pick this year. So that'll be the trade-off. And then with that, it seems like we will get back a pick in the 20s while we give Noble and a future first. So that's what it looks like is going to happen when it comes to that whole Noble conversation to Gold Coast. There were rumors that we were looking for 2 picks in the 20s as well as the first round pick. I don't think that's going to happen. But the beauty is Collingwood do have the upper hand in the sense if Noble is a wanted man by Gold Coast, and it's clear he is, the market's small, Collingwood are going to have that leverage. The fact that he's still contracted to the end of next year. How much bully ball can we play with Gold Coast? Like, can we really bully out 2 picks in the 20s and pick 13 in exchange for John Noble and a future first? That is interesting. Oh, look, my light's gone out. We don't want that. We don't want that. Bear with me. Here we go. Do we like blue? Like, what else have we got here? We got yellow. That's arsehole. Purple's cool. Fuck it. We'll try purple. Let's catch up to the chat and see what everyone's saying, okay? Bear with me, guys. All right. The champ is back. Woody, how you going, brother? How are you going? MD, go Pies. Is Houston coming to us? Digsby, if you've tuned in from the start, which seems like you have, you get the idea. I'm going to talk about it more in just a moment. Matt Kennedy, we can talk about as well. All right. Lots of comments. I think you're fine with that in many ways. He's 27. What you can get back, invest in someone with a higher ceiling, correct? How about looking at some of the VFL players? Dan, which VFL players? So we've got Ryan Parker, what? TJ DiMattia. We really don't need midfielders at this stage for another 12 months. They have midfield covered. We have a very good coach. He knows his job very well. Ash Johnson should be dropped or tradable. He's got another year on the contract. So we're not going to delist someone who's a year out from their contract ending. We can only hope that AJ has an unbelievable preseason, but he's coming from a long way back. Can we trade him for something? I don't know. What, a fourth rounder? I don't know. We're trading hard for another shot. Tomo, how you going, man? We'd be lucky to get we'll get 13. We'll get 13 if Gold Coast want Noble, which they do. We'll get 13. We're probably going to have to send that future first, but that's fine. It gets burnt out by the McGuan Academy bid, matching the bid. Do you guys understand that? Like, am I clear enough with how the pick for McGuan works when it comes to the draft value index of a first rounder versus having multiple second rounders? So having multiple second rounders is more valuable in the scheme of draft value index relative to having a first round pick, which is why when a club bids for McGuan next year in the top 5 or top 10, wherever he lands, we just have to match the pick with points. So that's why we'd be willing to give away our first round pick next year. Does that make sense? Braden, am I doing a Kahoot tomorrow? No, but I will not this week because of the trade period's crazy, but I will get back into that for sure. Good, mate. Oh, yeah. I finished the spreadies, by the way. I can plug in and out of the trades for an indication. Yeah, bro. Please do. What do you want to do? Send that to me, or do you want to have a chat on Insta or something about it? Ash Johnson needs to be given a go. I don't think so. Yasu from Athens. Nice. Are you from Athens? My Greek side is from Kriti, Kanya. I'm an island boy. Tony understands. That's good. Yeah, of course. Gold Coast, 100%. Just like everybody's chasing gold. So here's the thing, Magpie Country. Everybody's chasing Gold Coast first round pick because they have an academy player, Lombard, who is in the first round. So they may as well use their pick in the trade window and get second rounders coming back their way to a certain extent so that they can match bids for Lombard, or they might even have second rounders available. So they're using that pick to get Noble. Put it this way, if they didn't have an academy pick in the first round, they probably wouldn't be so willing to give a first round pick away for Noble, right? All right, so Dan Houston, right? So say we get pick 13 and we get a pick in a 20 from Gold Coast, right? But they want that future first Gold Coast. So does that mean two first rounders is not going to happen for Port Adelaide? That's what I'm thinking. So does that mean our best offer is potentially, let's say, the first round pick 13, we give up a second rounder, or we give up Joe Richards? I don't. If you guys have better ideas than me in the chat, let me know. But what we can give up that, so we get second rounder back and a pick 13 from Gold Coast. We can bundle that up to Port Adelaide, maybe even with Joe Richards. So we give them three things. We take back one. Can we get a future third back in exchange for that as well? So we get a future third back, Dan Houston. We give them something like Joe Richards, pick 13, and a second rounder. I don't know. This is me just spitballing in my head. And yeah. No, so listening to Chris Davies, the footy boss at Port today, it was interesting to note that there was no mention of Ollie Lord. Okay. And I want to tie this in with what Lepage said. They were asked about the age demographic of the Collingwood Football Club right now. And with the aging demographic, really, let's call a spade a spade. Lepage is like, we're mindful of that. So we've also got to protect the future as well as win now. They will look to bring in youth this year, right? We remember when everyone lost their mind about Fly saying, we want players, not picks. And people took that literally. Kane Corns took that as an absolute. He took it far too literally, right? We've been in the draft. We've done well in the rookie draft. We've done well in the mid-season draft. We've done well, okay? And even our trades, we haven't brought in super old players, Lipinski, Bobby Hill, Kruger, a few slip my mind right now, but it's not like we're not a residential aged care or anything by any stretch of the imagination just yet, right? So Lepage is probably insinuating that we are looking for younger cattle in the trade period. For example, Ollie Lord. But Bailey Smith would have been perfect age bracket. Alex Davies would have been perfect. Peatling would have been great, right? But the problem is this, I don't hear it a whole lot, but I'm noticing that this window this year isn't great for youthful acquisitions in the trade window. So, worst case scenario, we will go to the draft with second round picks, whether it's one or two, I'm not too sure. We'll have a crack at a key forward in that regard. Job Shanahan, one of the Whitlock twins, Thomas Sims, maybe. It's a deep draft, which is why we can afford risking not being in the first round this year. Right? So we will get some younger balls in the draft. And this method that we're seeing from Fly and the panel, we've seen it before. Geelong have done well. Kane Corns reckons it didn't work out for Richmond and Hawthorn when they tried this. Hawthorn is still reaping the benefits from some of the players they brought in through the trade period. Jack Scrimshaw is doing well. Jarman Impey. Tom Mitchell, when he became a Brownlow medalist. Jager O'Meara, okay. I thought he was okay, maybe not as good as you would have wanted from him. That's fine. Wingard was getting coaches' votes in his first few years before he succumbed to injuries. That's luck of the draw, in my opinion. And look at them now. There's players in that team. Frost as well. They brought Frost in. These players who were traded in that period where it all turned to shit for Hawthorn because they didn't go to the draft, they're playing significant roles in their window right now. Jai Newcomb was from the mid-season draft. Like we do overrate the national draft. I'm not saying you're going to get great players from the national draft, but there's other means. There's many roads that lead to Rome. There's many ways to skin a cat, right? So that's where I see this method, right? Sydney have done all right with it in the past. Geelong are doing it again. That's how they stay relevant. All right, let's catch up in the comments. Let me see. All right, are we a chance for Houston? Yes, we are. I really want Pendles to retire. If he gets injured in mid-season, that will unbalance the team. I think you run the risk with Pendles. He's extremely durable. And with Houston coming in, we're going to get a lot of flexibility in our team, a lot of versatility. It seems like that seems to be the plan of action with the players of picking up. Perriman, extremely versatile, can play in the back line, can play in the midfield, could probably put him on the wing if you want, could probably play a forward, a small forward position if you like. Dan Houston gives us an option to consider what we do with Josh Dacos. Do we put Josh Dacos back in that All-Australian wingman position? Does he pair up with Houston on the half-back line? Or does Josh Dacos go into the midfield, right? So these are some of the permutations that we should consider when we bring in someone like Dan Houston. So you reckon 13, Richards and Kruger. I don't mind it. I don't think it's going to happen. I highly doubt that's ever going to happen. Yeah, I don't think the trade value is not going to be. I don't think it's going to be significant, Woody. It will go down, and I think after pick 75, you can't use picks after or very very late. Like picks, you can't use them for matching bids next year. But outside of that, I don't imagine the draft value index being heavily impacted 1 year out from where they want to make the changes. They would have to give clubs enough notice, particularly right now when we're in a trade period, considering pick swaps in the national draft. You'd have to think that AFL would have some clarity around that now. Otherwise, they're going to be shooting a lot of clubs in the foot, or shooting themselves in the foot and pissing off a lot of clubs. Gimmo reckons we don't need to overcomplicate things. We get 13 for Noble, Port get 13 and Joe Richards, and we get Dan Houston and Simple. Well, I think that's a reductionist way to look at it, mate, because that's not the mail that we're hearing on the grapevine. We're going to have to give up more than just Noble to get pick 13. We're going to have to probably send a future first and get a second rounder back from them. If we're really bullish, maybe we get 2 second rounders from them, but that seems unlikely. However, stranger things have happened, but it's not that simple. It isn't. It really isn't. And when it all comes out, we'll realize it was never going to be Noble for pick 13. I thought that at a time, but I'm a little bit inexperienced in this game, so I'm building up some runs in this environment live. So you'll see my blemishes and you'll see it all. You'll see it all. So you can't hide. I'll post a video. It's either right or it's wrong, but I'll be sure to learn from it and make sure I'm more right than wrong in the future. Yeah, exactly. If anyone gets injured, it has potential to cause imbalance. It's a real risk-averse way and an unnatural way to think about injuries. Injuries they're omnipresent in any sport, in AFL particularly, right? You're going to have to live with the risks of injuries to any player. Any player in our team right now who gets injured will cause structural imbalance. And you just hope to have decent enough cover. Kev, how you going, mate? Need a key forward, very important. I think we probably get it from the draft. There's no mail on Ollie Lord, right? What else have we got here? Tomlinson is probably going to be the stopgap that we're going to get in this trade period. I think so. Is he... Forgive me, guys. I need to remind myself, is Tomlinson still under contract? Let me double check. If so, let's see. Let's go out of contract. AFL players. Let me kindly remind myself here. I'm pretty sure he's an unrestricted free agent. Melbourne. I'm looking at 2025. You dummy. You're a dummy, mate. Unrestricted free agent. So he's going to be the stopgap, right? Sam Frost has committed to Hawthorn. He mentioned that somewhere across the week, so he's not going anywhere. We're not hearing a lot about Granger Barras. It's if we haven't heard anything about him now, I don't know if we're going to hear about him anytime soon. Laverde, I've heard nothing about. So Tomlinson, it seems like it's going to be the Jordan Roughhead equivalent, right? Served us really well for a couple of years before he did his shoulder. So I look, you got to take what you're given, and that role needs fulfillment. It seems like Collingwood aren't super keen on Kruger to be that option. Hence why his contract talks are on hold, along with McGuinness and Sullivan. So it seems like we're gonna source externally a key tall defender and draft or get an Ollie Lord. Draft a key forward or get an Ollie Lord from Port, right? Membry, who we've spoken about at length, it's a chance he goes to the Lions because of the Joe Danaher retirement. And there's talks there, whereas there's no talks about Membry coming to Collingwood. So, okay. Did you know that my favorite YouTube goes for Tigers? Oh no, I got an ad. Okay. Ads are annoying. Ads got to be ads. Support the channel. Watch the ads. You'll be on the trade radio. What did you ask, Kev? Let me see. Another 2 years. He's only human. Even MTAC today. If he goes not to, I'll put him in the World Book of Records myself. 37. Who's played past 37 years old? It's unbelievable, isn't it? Buddy. Good to see videos about facts, not just endless guesses from Big Footy. We try. Thank you all to the 110 who are in here right now. That's an incredible number for a Monday at 5 p.m. Obviously, it's an exciting period for Collingwood. We know we're active. Yeah, if you haven't subscribed to the channel and you enjoy me waffling, subscribe. Want to be a member? Be a member. There's a mailing list in the caption for future giveaways, news, anything else in between Collingwood related. So there's that as well in the caption. Agree, but we're talking about the AFL here. Supposedly we're going to do it this year before the clubs spat the dummy. Yeah, well, if they know it's good for themselves, then they won't screw over. We'll be fine. I think we'll still be able to stockpile second rounders or trade for second rounders next year to get McGuire. I don't think that's going to be an issue. Hence why I'm not against giving away our first round pick this year. Really easy to see. Yeah. He seems like he knows what he wants. Leper. Seems like he knows what he wants. I wish, Tony. Come on, Anthony. What's your secret on a forward? You keep spitting it out. It's a secondary source, okay? So I'm not gonna disclose. I don't know if it's got any legs on it, but it's a good source. So if it comes out, I will talk about it, but I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to be that guy, firstly, who's going to be, I told you so. Like, I called this 2 weeks ago. I told you fucking Bailey Smith was going to go to Geelong at the start of the year, or Barras was never coming to Collingwood, or any of these things. It's just like, do you really know, or are you just trying to make a fair guess about what you think can happen? Or do you, like, just because you know someone who knows someone said this, you're going to claim it as your own? I'm not going to do that. Like, it doesn't stroke my ego I get no pleasure out of coming on here and saying, guys, I told you so. I told you about this guy moving here. It gives me nothing. Tomlinson is on the radar. He's a good chance. A bit older. I like him to a Jordan Roughhead. I'm loving Collingwood's intent this draft, period, right or wrong, at least we're proactive. Yeah, we're not sitting on our arms, Jimbo, right? On our hands. What will be interesting, because like I said, I'm relatively new to the YouTube scene and getting involved with the forums and all that sort of stuff. We're here now, and I personally, I'm liking our approach in this trade window, and we're yet to see what's going to happen in the draft. But I'm liking what we're doing, right? And who we're looking to acquire. I'm interested to see 6 months down the track how many people go back on what they liked now. And it always hindsight is 2020, right? Let's say Perryman, am I out of focus here? What's going on? All right, here we go. Let's say 6 months down the track or 12 months down the track, Perryman's had a shocker of a year. How many of you are going to come here and say, fuck, he wasn't worth 900K. What's wrong with Collingwood? We can't sign a good player. We're paying big money for B grade talent. I want you to leave your receipts in the comment section today, and let's revisit it in 12 months, right? Leave your receipts here. Don't and ah and then come back in 12 months' time and say, I told you so. Hindsight's 2020. Don't be that guy. Brody Holland whisper something to you. He whispered to me a number of things, Woody, but he didn't whisper trade stuff to me. Cucked. Spread 100% misinformation. We're not getting Joe Danaher. No, he's retired. Houston to nominate Collingwood according to John Ralph. Wowee, hold on a minute. Let me check my Twitter. Let me just check this. Okay, hold on. Man, I've been on X quite a bit today. Levi Casbolt announces his retirement after 198 games. All the best. All right, so Team Mello, this isn't a troll, right? Because we haven't seen him nominate. Let's see. No, nothing there. Nothing doing there, Mello. There's another guy, Jack Henderson, great utility player. They are as good as Sean Manor from the Cats who played. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure about that, my friend. Here's a tweet from earlier today regarding the Gold Coast trade, right? Collingwood had asked for 13, 23, and 29 back from the Suns, as Collingwood would have to give up a future first and John Noble. But if the Pies negotiate fairly, they're a huge chance to get pick 13 and second round early pick to hand to the power for Houston. So the whole conversation of 2 first rounders for Houston is probably not possible or real at the moment, particularly if you want to go to a winning club. North Melbourne are putting their hand up. Western Bulldogs, they're sort of trying to chime in or trying their best. We know what Carlton are trying to do. But it seems like Joe pick 13 and a second rounder could do for Dan Houston, an early second rounder. But the problem is Collingwood are asking for 2 second rounders from Noble right now. So there's no, not too sure. Yeah, Don, I'll have a look. Next year, you can trade 2 futures ahead. Exactly. So for those who aren't familiar with that as well, next year, so let's talk 2025 trade period. You can trade your 2025 first rounder, your 2026 first rounder, and your 2027 first rounder. So to acquire big players will be much more possible next year because you can trade 3 first round picks in advance. But yeah, Collingwood asking for a first rounder and 2 second rounders from Gold Coast is where it's at the moment, or where it was. I don't think the Suns will adhere to that. I think they would accept 13 and 23, but not 13, 23, and 29. So that's that. Pies would have given back a pick in the 40 as part of this offer, but clearly it's ridiculous. Noble didn't finish in the top 10 in the best and fairest again, so it's up to the clubs to find middle ground. There is good will to get a deal done. Okay. Well, there you go. It's happening. If you don't ask, you won't get. Good move by Leper. Yeah, so while we asked for 2 picks in the second round and that first rounder, we were willing to give John Noble and future first and a pick in the 40s, which would be pick 48, which we have at the moment. But it doesn't seem like Gold Coast are gonna work with that. Jimbo, I just explained before. You must have just missed it, but with father-son bids, you have more value in having a number of second rounders rather than your first rounder, which is why we're willing to give up next year's future first, because 2 second rounders hold more draft value index points than a first rounder. And when you match a bid for, let's say, North Melbourne take McGuan at pick number 1 next year, for example, you need to match the bid with points, not picks, right? So that's the idea. There are some changes happening, but I don't think it will be significant enough to hinder getting McGuan in the draft next year. If AFL were wise and were planning on suggesting that you must give up a pick in the first round for father-son bids within pick the top 10, they would have told us that already, but they haven't. So I'm pretty confident, even with giving up the future first to get what we need to get done in this window, I think we'll be fine to get McGuan next year. We'll either get the picks, the second round picks, future second round picks in this window, trade period / draft period, or we can leave it till next trade period and work around it that way. If you guys are stressed about getting McGuan, I don't think there's any reason to. I really don't. What I might do is I might even share. I will share the video from Lepich today being interviewed by Zero Hanger. So shout out Zero Hanger. You're not going to be able to hear the questions being asked very well, but you'll be able to hear the answers quite well. So I do apologize in advance. Here, share screen. Share screen. There we go. Actually, I need to share this on Google Chrome. Okay, guys. We're nearly there. We will be sharing Justin Lepich on the screen. All right, here we go.
All right. How you started
Very. Yeah, we'd love to see him in our colours next year. Obviously, a lot to play out over the next 10 days or so. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, look, I'm not going to talk about specifics of deals. There's so much to play out. So without going through the detail, we just love to see him in our colours. You like the specifics? We've only been doing this 5 minutes. Can we wait a little bit longer? Got a few more clubs to speak to. So. Oh, well, potentially because, Dan plays for Port and Joe plays for us. So, but again, there's a lot to play out. Oh, we haven't even spoken to Port yet at all, face to face. So a bit to go through.
Do you think you can get the Dan Hughes deal done if you don't get Big 30?
It's a good question. I'm not sure. Again, there's lots to play out. We've got John Noble to look at as well. He's very keen to join the Gold Coast. Obviously, he's a contracted player though. So, yeah, there's a bit in it, isn't there? Again, we're only 5 minutes in, but there's a lot to play out. You talk other positions, you're saying? Oh, look, yeah, there's a few. I mean, everyone knows the age demographic of our football club and where it's going over the next couple of seasons. So that's one area we'd like to fill. Whether it gets done right now, we're not sure whether that's going to happen now or within the draft.
So just pause there, yeah? So as I mentioned before, Lepich brings up an important point that, yes, we're shopping to bring ready-made players in, but it sounds like they are going to try trade in some youthful players, but the problem is there's not a lot of options. I think of Ollie Lord and I can't think of anybody else outside of that anymore because of all the players that have elected other clubs. Alex Davies, Peatling, Bailey Smith, they would be good. They would fit the right bracket at Collingwood to keep us youthful. But worst case scenario, we take some of our picks into the draft and we bring in some youngsters. But there's many ways to put together a list, and we've seen success in the mid-season draft. We've seen success in the rookie draft. Jack Ginnivan, Jared Blair, if you want to go all the way back, John Noble in the mid-season draft. This is a really good positive net return for John Noble. If we can get what we're asking for, we got him in a mid-season draft and cost us nothing. So there you go. There you go. Let's move on.
Well, picks are players, but I think to elaborate on that, I think what Craig means is when you have a guy like John Noble, you've got a 27-year-old established guy, you know what you're getting every week. Maybe you pick one or two, you know what you're going to get, but as you hit the middle parts of the draft, he is a bit of a raffle at times. So I think that's the point. He still loves draft picks and all these players, but that was the mentality behind it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's where we hold the cards, don't we? He's still got 2 years to run on a contract, and he's our player, and they have to facilitate the deal as well. Oh, of course, yeah. I think when you've got the player contract, it gives you more leverage than not, yeah.
Yep. So we can see Noble, Lepage there, very cognizant of the power we have in this trade negotiation with John Noble because he's in contract, because Noble is a wanted man, because Gold Coast know they don't need their first round pick. We've got some pull in this one. So as Nathan says here, we're starting high in the negotiations with the talks with Noble. So never say never with what we're asking for from Gold Coast because of the leverage we have.
I'm just working it all out. I think one thing I want to do is be, I guess, true to our footy club and what we do, but also be open and fair and honest to help facilitate things as well. But we'll see. I might be some grumpy old bugger in about 4 days' time. I might change my mind. So we'll see. Oh, well, obviously he's two-time All-Australian in his position. We're looking at John, who's the same position, leaving our football club. So obviously that's a pretty obvious replacement there, isn't it? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But I think as Dan said himself, he wants to get to Melbourne first and foremost. I think there's a couple of us that want his services, but the deal itself is going to be the most important part. Thanks, guys. All the best.
So, quick thanks or shout out to Zero Hanger for that one. Do you guys want to visit their channel? They post everything AFL related. So there's that. Let's have a look. I want to visit Collingwood's. Give me one moment. Here, Draft Guru.
Yeah.
I want to have a look at Collingwood's history in the draft. Okay, like recent history, how we've gone, because I want to make a few points here. Right. Let's have a look. Google Chrome. Bang. All right. Let's go back to, let's say, let's start at 12, 13. Can you guys let me zoom in on that a bit more? Yeah, I think that's nice and clear. Okay, so 2014, we trade in Jack Crisp. We get Levi Greenwood, Travis Varco, and we have a really successful draft. Jordan De Goey, Darcy Moore, Braden Maynard, and then Matthew Goodyear, not so much, right? Rookie draft, we get Mason Cox. So that we get a diamond in the rough there, really successful and still involved with the club and playing an important role, okay? Done well. That's a great return, yeah? We bring in James Aish at 19. We bring in Jeremy Howe at 25, yeah? So we bring in Harry Perriman at a similar age and doing really well. Okay, we gave up a lot for Treloar. I understand that. What do we give up? We gave up pick 7, pick 65, and a future first in Griffin Logue. We got Treloar. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. Fine, we'll eat that. We'll eat that up. Whatever. But you get Jeremy Howe, And what do we trade him for? What do we give up? Paul Seedson and Ben Kennedy. That's a good positive net return. National draft, we could have hit with Braden Sire. We could have hit a little bit more of Tom Phillips. We did really well in these later rounds of the draft. Rookie draft, Lockie Smith, not to be. Josh Thomas, we get a good return from as well. So we really have had some good success in that rookie draft, and it continues that way. Lyndon Dunn, it will be similar to what we see at Tomlinson, filling in the void for now. Will Hoskin Elliott, what do we give up for Hoskin Elliott in 2016? Let's see. Look at that. For a second rounder, we got Will Hoskin Elliott, and he's given us so much versatility in the team. I think that's a big win at age 23. Those are the players we'd love to see picked up in this trade period, but we just don't have younger youth on the market right now, unfortunately. National draft. This was a bit of a stinker. Outside of Josh Dacos, pick 57, father, son. So that's a win. That sort of makes up for what we missed here, yeah? We missed all that. Rookie draft, don't really hit here. Max Lynch had a bit of time before he went to Hawthorn. 2018. Sam Murray was good and then unfortunately got done with the doping or whatever it was. Steve-O could have been something. Murphy at 39 was huge. Tyler Brown was a bust, unfortunately. Brody Myercheck is still massive. Is still massive, right? Great acquisition there. Mason Cox gets elevated from the rookie list there. In 2018, Dane Beams, stinker. Jordan Roughhead did well for what he was able to offer at Collingwood. How many games did he play for Collingwood? 63. So we could probably expect that, or maybe 40 odd games if we get someone like Tomlinson in. National draft, we do well to get Isaac Quaynor. Will Kelly, not to be, and Bosena Valagi wasn't quite the one. Mark Keane, that would have been nice. Let go of him. John Noble, mid-season draft. There you go. Picked him up at pick 14 in the mid-season draft, which is huge. Let's move on to 2019. Darcy Cameron, again, a really nice age bracket here at 24. What do we get? Well, we gave up pick 70-something for him. Sorry, let's see. Collingwood gave pick 56, Bigger Newen, who actually just got delisted from North Melbourne. So that was that. A pretty quiet window there in 2019. Given we'd just come off a grand final, we're probably pretty content. 2020, right? You look at dabbling in the draft and everybody wants to go to the draft with their picks. You go, well, outside of Ollie Henry, no one here has really done much. Oh, and Bo McCreary, again, you can take these later picks in rounds and get these diamond in the rough more often than not these days. You tie that in with Jack Ginnivan in the rookie draft and is a premiership player forever with Collingwood. We've done well in these later picks. We do our research. It's clear. Ollie Henry would have been amazing to stay. Unfortunately, he wants to go play with his brother in Geelong. So be it. But Finlay McRae has been a miss so far. Reef has been a miss so far. Caleb Poulter is now at Western Bulldogs. Liam McMahon is playing the VFL at Carlton. We get Ash Johnson, who has had he's played some good footy for Collingwood. Unfortunately, he's just hasn't found his way at the moment, right? Draft in the 2021, we get Kruger, Lipinski. Lipinski, a premiership player, has played a role for us. We get Nick Dacos. We all know how that's gone. Harvey Harrison, who is one of the bright younger players for Collingwood. When he comes back from his ACL, he will be great. We keep getting these nuggets here. Charlie Dean, also in the rookie draft. His story still has a bit more to be said, and I think he will show us a little bit more next year, especially if we don't end up getting Tomlinson. And even if we do get Tomlinson, I think Charlie Dean can try and press for Tomlinson's position. 2022, the stroke in the trade period was magnificent with Tom Mitchell, Bobby Hill, and Billy Frampton even being a premiership player and actually played really well in 2023. 2024 is a bit of a different story, but that's fine. And then we get Dan McStay, who is he's still got a story to write himself. Joe Richards, we're going to turn this into some sort of net profit at pick 48. Jacob Ryan will have some opportunities at Collingwood 100%, and Ed Allen could be a breakout year for him next year for sure. We get Ollie Markov in the preseason supplemental selection period. He goes on and becomes a premiership player. So it's just one of those things. We know there's many ways to put together a list rather than just the draft. It's not the be-all, end-all. The next year we bring in Schultz, Dimitia, TJ. Jack Bytel gets games. Lockie Sullivan gets games. Ned Long gets games. There are players everywhere that you can pick from than just the national draft. I hope I've made my point. Let's see here. Catch up on the comments. Rumors are that AFL will be cutting off picks after pick 40 from being used as accumulating draft points for a first round pick. There will also be more rules going to come in defining it. Interesting. I think with that, we will still be able to get picks from the second round to make that bid or match that bid for McGuan. So it's still not even that bad, in my opinion. Stealth Ninja, how you doing, Anthony? I'm doing well, mate. How are you? Thank God you skipped the 2013 draft. That was a horror show. What was it? Let's see. Let's have a look. Let me quickly double check. Was that the year we had Freeman in the top 10 draft? Scharenberg and Freeman. Yeah. It would have been a bit kinder to us if Tom Langdon and Adam Oxley weren't hindered by injuries. That would have sweetened it and would have made amends for pick 6 and pick 10. I mean, injuries was cruel to Scharenberg as well. Injuries were also cruel to Nathan Freeman. What do you do? Yeah, we just touched on 2020 there. Drafted Frampton and Scharenberg over Paddy Cripps. Well, it is what it is. Wilbur. Singlet is in the wash. Confirmed, brother. Haven't done very good outside. That's not true, Mitchell. I just showed you what we've done in the rookie draft, what we've done in the preseason supplementary period, what we've done in the mid-season draft, and what we've done in the trade window. You have to look at player acquisition in a larger scope beyond just the national draft. We've done well. And that's why, 2010, 2011, we're competitive. 2012, we were good. We have some darker years from 13 through to 17. We played grand final in 18, a prelim in 19, finals in 20, 21 down year, 22 prelim, 23 grand final. This year, we take a year off. Your list management has to be at a high level to be relevant for such a long time. Hey, Anthony, what's the TL too long didn't read from today's trade news? So TLDR, is that too long didn't read? Is that what that is? But essentially, John Noble. Actually, we didn't talk about that one, but I will bring it up. Joe Richards has requested a trade. We are looking like the front runners for Dan Houston. Tomlinson, still waiting to hear a bit about that, but it's the conversations mainly revolved around Houston and Richards, and then the Gold Coast John Noble trade. But it was interesting. Scott Lucas, who was a former Essendon player, who is now player manager at Phoenix Management Group, he spoke about Noble's situation, speaking on behalf of John Noble, and just mentioned the anxieties and just looking for more job security at a club that wants him and that's willing to give up picks for him, because he's at a club where he played 80 odd games in a row, only to be dropped in the final series. It'd be fair to understand that Noble would want to look elsewhere, because let's be real, if a better halfback flanker half as good as him at a younger age comes through, he might have to make way for them. So it's a situation where Collingwood will be willing to move him on because he has some issues or inefficiencies on the field that some people have their heart in their mouth when watching him. And if it means we can get what we're getting for him to turn him into a Dan Houston, and on the other hand, John Noble gets the job security, he goes to a club where he's wanted and desired, it's a win-win situation. And I wish him all the best. I truly do. But you can't undo that trauma. You can't undo that trauma being dropped for a final series after playing every game. It is what it is. Will Tom Langdon still be playing? Yes. Age-wise, yes. He was our best defender in 2018. Without a doubt, he was our best defender. Darcy Moore hardly featured. Tom Langdon was a great player. He had so much potential, but that knee couldn't hold up. Yeah, Sharon Burke had really good potential, in my opinion, but was always just injured. Yep, exactly. A couple ACLs. Richmond supporter mate said Cumberland wants out. Would love him at the Pies. He's looked good in little spurts, Mick, but he'd be an all right fringe player to cover our smaller forwards. I've seen games from Cumberland where he takes over, and you wonder why is he not playing consistently. Maybe a fresh start can come to Collingwood, but I don't know if there's much movement behind that right now, Mick. I'll be honest. Yeah, you can always say you could have, would have, should have drafted or traded for this player, but if that was the case, then we wouldn't have what we have now. Good point. It looks like you don't have intras. It looks like you don't have intra. Intra as in introspection, or what am I missing, mate? Oh, look at that. My other light's gone. Tell you what, these lights do not last long. I might have to have a charger on both of them at all times. Where do you think Dan Houston will go to? I hope and believe it will be Collingwood. Yeah, we have pick 13 from Noble. Richards, I don't think we don't necessarily get pick 13 from Richards. We get pick 13, a part of a Noble bundle from Gold Coast. Couldn't agree more. 2023 was our third prelim in 5 years with a vastly different team from 2018. You don't get that by managing a list poorly. Exactly. How do we fill the gap at the back? Time to give Krugs a go down back. I've said Tomlinson's probably the likely suitor. If there weren't rumors about Tomlinson, then Kruger would be in that conversation. But contract talks are on hold for players like Kruger, McGuinness, Sullivan for this trade period. So the writing's on the wall. Yeah, there's a chance that someone like a Sullivan gets delisted, and then we delist someone like Kruger and rookie list him. But if we were keen on Kruger playing in the back line, we probably would have seen it at some point this year. And the fact that he hasn't been guaranteed a contract yet suggests that he's not at the front of mind to play in the back line or play AFL at all for Collingwood at the moment. I do have interest in VFL. I do. I just don't watch other teams outside of Collingwood. And they're probably playing VFL for a reason. Sullivan has been playing VFL for the large part of his career for a reason. Yes, there are nuggets there. I understand that. But I guess the main point is I don't watch a lot of VFL outside of Collingwood playing. I don't have the time. Which is why we rely on people like you, Don63. We rely on people like you to enlighten us about what you see at VFL level. Okay? Yeah, I don't think this is going to carry much weight. Reef McGuinness in the back line. We're all ready. We all remember his name is Kruger. I know, Manny. I know. Matt always being told to look elsewhere, but we don't need him. I think Richards was pissed off being subbed on late, which factored. Look, I think you'd be pretty petty if you're Joe Richards and you leave because of that. But I understand it being a part of the reason, little part to the reason. The biggest reason I think is opportunity at Port Adelaide, different lifestyle, the competition that already exists at Collingwood. I think that's what it is. I'd take always just see him kick the Sealer versus Blues and celebrate with the flex and then have a fight with Cripps. That would be funny. I'm telling you, forget Houston. Watch us rip teams to shreds in the backline. I watch all the Port's games. He is unbelievable. Black and White United says Houston to beat the Pies this time next week. There you go. We want Houston at Collingwood. What else do you want to talk about? Who else is in mind? I feel like we've touched on pretty much everyone, no? That's everyone. Again, if you're still in here and have stuck around and you haven't subscribed, please do. It means a lot. I'm just looking at Twitter to see. Matt Kennedy, thank you. Matt Kennedy for mine. He's been told to look elsewhere, right? So does that mean we can trade a third rounder for him? If Carlton have publicly disclosed that they're willing, they have said to Kennedy, go look elsewhere, mate. You're not going to get midfield time here. Can we ask for a third rounder? And if that's always going to cost, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Curtis Taylor, yeah, he'd be about 185, 190 or something, right? And he's a bit of a jumping jack, isn't he? I really liked his footy at North Melbourne, but I think because they have so many medium-sized forwards, I just think he doesn't fit. But the problem is we have the same issue. We've got too many small forwards. But if he's been delisted, right, can he come in as a fringe player on a rookie list? 24 years old, 187 centimeters. Really something Collingwood should consider. That's a good one. That is a good one. Is Tomlinson a real possibility? Where it is Mick, because he's an unrestricted free agent. And we need what we need, and we need a key tall defender, and we don't have that right now. It won't cost anything. How do you subscribe? I don't know. There's like a red button somewhere. It says, so don't stress, Darren, if you can't find it. Would you rather Lewis Young or Adam Tomlinson? Potato. Tomato. I don't know. I haven't watched enough of their footy. I would say Tomlinson, but I don't think it's by much. Yeah. It's just about having the right makeup in the team, right? It's about having the right makeup, the right balance in the team. But he can also play forward. He can take some nice contested marks, Matt Kennedy. Tim Membry is probably going to go to the Lions because of Danaher retirement and because there is rumored to be talks around that. There's been no conversations from what I'm aware of when it comes to Collingwood and Tim Membry. Finn McRae, time to move him on or give more time? Give more time. Give him one more year. And if it doesn't work out, he'll get delisted or he might get... If he's no good by the end of next year at Collingwood, his AFL career will probably be done. Kennedy sucks. So do we get Houston? We're hoping to get Houston. I would take you over Tomlinson purely on age. Over Young. Okay, yeah, Young. All right, yeah. You take Lewis Young over Tomlinson purely over age. Even Marchbank is an interesting one. He's played some good footy in the past. It's just a matter of can he keep his body healthy and keep him on the track. Carlton's very keen on Membry, I heard. Key defenders don't need to be the youngest crop. Kennedy, Tomlinson, both taller and going. Yeah. Key defenders don't need to be the youngest crop. That's true. Little stopgap. We've done it in the past, right? We had Lyndon done, and he was amazing until he did his ACL. Jordan Rufford was really good until he did his shoulder. So, yeah. I think we're going to come out of this really happy, guys. Really content with the that with what we're bringing into the club. And we've already got the core there. We've got Dacos, we've got Quaynor, we've got Darcy, we've got DeGoey, we've got McStay, we've got Myercheck, we've got Bobby Hill, we've got Bo McCreary. We won 4 of our last 5. We should have beaten Sydney. We could have made finals, but we didn't. We had injuries. We had a premiership hangover. Like, there's a lot to like moving forward next year, guys. Yeah. We finished the season really strongly. And if we look at Geelong's bounce back this year, there's no reason why we can't do that and more. So that's that. It feels like looking back, we do better with lower. Yeah, look, we haven't had a whole bunch of top 10 round picks in the last top 10 picks in the first round in the last 10, 15 years, right? 2014, we had success, DeGoey, Darcy Moore. 2022, we have success with Nick Dacos. But outside of 2013 with Freeman and Scharenberg, yeah, we actually haven't had much of an opportunity to dip our feet in that pool. We've looked to trade our first round picks instead, and it's worked in the past. So is it true we are getting Josh Dacos? We already have Dacos. Yeah, we have a premiership list. But that's the thing, Tark. The beauty about Collingwood is we do so well in other means of recruitment. Mid-season draft, pre-season draft, rookie draft, later picks in the national draft, picking up mature age players like Joe Richards and John Noble. We do well. We do well in recruitment. Yeah. When you beat the Premiers 3 times inside 12 months, you can't be that far off. We beat them twice this year. Brisbane. How are you going to fit in with Perryman on $900,000 a year? Well, the thing is, we're giving up picks for Dan Houston, so I don't know if we're going to sign him up for 900. I'm not going to guess the number. I can't imagine it being the same as, but the total player payments, and if someone's in the chat that knows this, the total player payments will open up a bit more. I think it might be next year. Please help me out, guys, in the chat. The salaries will open up. So what's 900 now in the current constraints of the salary cap will look different next year, right? So that's why 900 is going to be the new 650 when the total player payments open up. Even Dane Swan was a steal, 100%. With impending retirements, I reckon we can land a big fish next year with increased cap space. Exactly, Mick. With increased cap space and the ability to use 3 first-round picks in trade conversations in the next year's trade window, many teams are going to be able to dip their feet in. But the fact that we're opening up our salary with the veterans seeing their way out slowly, I think, Christian Petrarca for 2026, anyone? I think that's a real one. Pencil that in as a prediction. Christian Petrarca, that could be one. Oh, okay. So Ricky thinks the salary cap is increasing by 2 million. Where did you hear that? What percentage chance do you reckon we have to get Dan Houston? I'm not in the business of doing the trades, right? But my gut feeling, based on what I've heard from Lepich, from reputable sources in the media and the horses' mouths, being Chris Davies, the Port Adelaide footy boss, and Justin Lepich, I'd probably say if we can get this Gold Coast deal done, it's a 80% likelihood. Since Carlton pissed off Port Adelaide with what's been with their negotiations, Carlton don't want to give up their first round pick, so leaves the door open for us. There, 126 watching, 36 likes. Where is the support? Champ, don't ask for that much. Don't ask much. Yeah, guys, if you are here, give the video a like if you're enjoying it. Peter has already come out and told the boys to take less so the club can bring in players. There you go. Good family man. TPP opens up another $3 million over the next couple of years, and we have about 5 players on 1-year deals. There you go. So when you say 5 players on 1-year deals, we know Pendlebury, Sidebottom, Howe, Hoskin Elliott, and Mason Cox, right? Because they're on 1-year deals, we'll just assume that they're lesser contracts, right? Where are we hearing that the TPP specifically? I just want to make sure when we say these things, they're as close to factual as possible, right? When we say that the total player payments opens up another 3 million over the next couple of years, where are we hearing that? I just want to know. Pies should look to other leagues for a key position defender as well. I read salary cap increase will pay Perriman. Jacko, mate, no stress. Don't say sorry. We love having you here and hope all is going well at school, mate. How do you see the future of Dean? Is he purely a backup for injuries or can he be something permanent? I like the kid, but he is giving me fringe player vibes at the moment. But what confuses me is when I watch him play VFL, he's an exceptional player and dominant in the back line. So if he can just transfer that, it's a big ask, right? But if he can translate that into AFL, then we'll see more from him. The problem is he's playing as a second key tall defender, right? But he's not that guy. In my opinion, he's a third key tall defender. But right now, we've already got Jeremy Howe who does that at an elite level. We already have Braden Maynard who can do that. We have Isaac Quaynor who can intercept the ball when he's playing well. So that's why Charlie Dean is going to struggle to find a position if he's not going to be the second key tall defender, which he's not that guy. So you saw it on Twitter. Okay, so it's come from reputable sources like John Ralph. That'll do. So Chris Davies, the Port Adelaide footy boss, mentioned nothing about Ollie Lord today in a trade period radio. If not anyone else you would want. I think if we don't get Lord, we're gonna go into the draft and take someone in the second round as a key forward. And that might be a Whitlock, a Job Shanahan, if he slides that deep. It might be a Jonty Fall. It might be a Thomas Sims. So if you guys haven't heard about those players, just do a bit of research there. Jack, how are you? Just quickly, love the content, brother. Keep it up. Thanks, mate. I do enjoy doing this. And sharing this time with you guys. Do you see a future for Jacob Ryan? Yes. I think what shocked me is the man is 6'2", 189. So that would be close to 6'2", right? Running halfbacker. Had some injury niggles this year. Got some games under his belt at VFL. I think we'll know more about Jacob Ryan next year. So I do potentially see a future for Ryan. If pressure's good up the ground, a defensive 50 is fine. Exactly. Won't have to worry about those quick transitions. All right, guys. That's enough for the night. Thank you all for sticking around. We'll probably do this again tomorrow. We'll probably do this every day of the trade period window. So if you enjoyed it, let me know in the comment section if you want to see this again. Is there anything you want to see? Let me know. But we'll be back this time, 5 p.m. tomorrow. And we'll just chat some shit. 5 p.m. tomorrow. 5 p.m. tomorrow, just for about an hour or so. And we'll just revisit what we hear each day. Take care, guys, and have a good evening. And we'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Go Pies.